we went, some of you have probably seen the video that you can see on the internet that was put together by one of the members of our team. And you can't see anything here, but we're actually at Marquis Case's church, and it's at night. And I didn't want to take any flash pictures or anything, but there were about 150 people gathered around. And if I could play this video clip, you'd hear them singing a hymn here in French. They're sitting around singing hymns, and then Pastor Casa asked us to all speak to the group, and every one of us took an opportunity to speak, and I just felt sort of strange. I thought I didn't feel like I should be preaching to them. I mean, here we had driven up in our two, Nissan patrols and everything, and we were going to be leaving the next day, and these folks were just there, and they really had nothing, so they're spending the night on the property of the church there, just living around there. It's sort of an open area outside of, on the outskirts of town, away from the buildings. And but they were sitting around having a service, singing hymns, and the thought that occurred to me was that it was just an inspiration, I think, more for us than anything else, to really see these people, in their commitment to Jesus Christ and trusting in the Lord in spite of the fact that they were sitting out there, with nothing. Many of these people's homes were totally destroyed, and I had lost family members. The gas station was crowded the next morning, and we made the way back to Port-au-Prince. These are some people that are just kind of camping. They're taking everything that they have, basically, and they're underneath this tree, and that's where they're staying. The picture didn't turn out very well, but I'm standing there talking to Pastor Casa there. These are just kind of different random shots, people gathering water, the mountain road on the way back. And then this is the one piece of equipment that we actually saw in operation that day. And this was operated by an American. And so when I stopped and got out, he had to stop because a dump truck had gone away, and he was waiting for another dump truck to come to get filled up. And I took my camera out, and he took his camera out, the operator. And so he took a picture of, not of me really, but of the, what he was seeing, and at the same time I took a picture of him. But I saw one other piece of heavy equipment, and it was parked. It was not in use yet at that time. We finally got back to the border, and we had made arrangements with the missionaries in the Dominican Republic to bring supplies of food and then medical supplies back to the border. And so with the Haitians, we drove to the border with the Dominican Republic with two trucks and then another bigger truck, like a big pickup truck. And from the Dominican Republic, they met us there, and they unloaded. We moved everything into the Haitians' trucks, and basically they loaded up, and we said our goodbyes. And there, Pastor Harrison was there with us also. And kind of just, it was surreal. It was really unreal, to tell the truth. This is one picture that I took. Some of you may have seen that just really kind of startled me. This is, I guess, one of the oldest Catholic churches in Haiti, and the church is all falling down and everything, and the cross is out front. It's still intact, and I just thought that was kind of a good picture. I think the people in Haiti really still are. Many of the people are trusting in the Lord and are turning to Him. A lot of people are, obviously very confused and hurting. The recovery effort is going to take a long, long time. It's not going to be an easy fix. And I want to let Alyssa say a few words right now, but I think what I would say is that we can get the idea that the food and the water and the medical supplies are the most urgent needs that the people have. And obviously that is very urgent, as well as shelter. But obviously, too, people have deep emotional and spiritual needs in this kind of a crisis. And as we talked with Pastor Kesa about what is needed most right now, he said, well, obviously food and water and medical supplies. And if we can send some medical teams as soon as possible, that would be helpful. But he also said what we also really need is spiritual and emotional encouragement and support, because everybody's really anguishing and suffering over this, especially those who have been I think almost everybody in the country knows someone or has relatives that have perished in this tragedy. Alyssa, would you like to come forward? And I'd just like to, I thought maybe, Alyssa was there. She's seen a lot worse than any of these pictures that you have here, and she's probably got some of those pictures with us, but maybe you could just talk a little bit about your observations, where you were when it hit. And I'm thinking, did you realize how bad it was really going to be when you first saw it? If you would, we'd appreciate it, okay? Thanks.
Good afternoon. I was actually at the church compound when the earthquake hit. I was sitting on the office steps waiting for my women to show up because we were going to resume women's Bible study that night. And everything started shaking, and of course I'm not anywhere from an earthquake place, so I had no idea what was going on at first. My daughters were home from school, I knew that much. I found out later they were safe at that point. I didn't realize what was going on until within seconds. We have a school attached to our church compound, and it was the older kids that were there, and they started running out screaming. The people from our guest house, the Isidore family, still lives up in the guest house, as well as Nora Leone, who runs the Caribbean Children's Foundation. They came running out. We had some visiting missionaries at the time. They came running out. And then the orphan kids, the girls' orphanages there at the church as well, and they came running out. And everybody was screaming and panicking. And I, in my naivety, walked over to Nora and says, "Is this an earthquake?" She said, "Why, yes, it is." And I said, "Okay." So then I went back into the office and I started putting my stuff away because I don't know any better, right? So I went back and sat on the church steps, and one of the girls from the school came, 18 years old, and she sat next to me, and I could tell she was in distress. And I put my arm around her and in my broken Creole told her it was going to be okay and asked her how she was doing. And her friends tried to take her away, and I told them they couldn't. She needed to stay there. She was starting to hyperventilate. That was the big shake, and right after that we had an aftershock that was just as big. I mean, to us it felt like that in Lakai. So we were able to move the girl over. One of the missionaries came over and suggested we get away from the building, and I'm like, oh, I guess that'd be a good idea. So we pick her up and we move her over, and in that amount of time she was having problems breathing and quit breathing several times. Nora came over and gave her an aspirin because we were concerned about heart problems. She was clutching her chest, and eventually we had to lay her down on the stony ground, and I was kneeling beside her, and she did stop breathing. Her heart stopped, and Nora and I, for the first time, both of us, performed CPR on her. She did survive. We got her up to the hospital, which was an interesting trip. We went to the hospital in Lakai in the city, and it was packed. There were trucks coming in everywhere, and Pastor Toulouse is who I work with. He said, "There's no way we can get her in here, and this is too much. We don't want her to die. We need to get her up to City Lumiere." City Lumiere is up in Simone, which is up the mountain. So it was an interesting trip, and as we went, there was some structural damage in Lakai. There was a group of buildings that went down. So we happened to go by that, and that's where everybody was stopping and looking, and we had UN troops running past us. We were trying to get their attention to let them know we had an emergency, and our driver Danielle he just had enough, and he was able to turn the truck around, and we went an alternate route and up the mountain road, and if you know these roads, they're horrible. So it was an interesting trip, but we did get her up to City Lumiere, and she's okay. That was the first day. We spent some time there at City Lumiere Hospital for a little bit. We went home and checked on the kids. And my daughters, they're 9 and 11, had been home from school and decided that day that they were going to go play on the upper roof. I guess it was just to have fun. So they were up on the upper roof that's slanted, and we're up there when the first shake happened, and our cook started screaming at them, so they managed to get down, and they are banned from going up there ever again. So